And good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to the show. I'm Willie Hassel, and she, of course, is the lovely, the mystical, mysterious Lynn Nicholson.
Thank you, Willie. Thank you for the intro. How are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good?
Pretty good, yeah.
Good.
And you?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. All right, I like that. Hey, we got a good guest tonight.
We certainly do.
Did you realize that?
Hmm?
Did you realize that? Did you know
Yes,
we were
I
going to have a
did.
guest?
We get nothing but top guests here.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So tonight, he was born in Arecibo, Puerto Rico. He now lives in Leominster, Massachusetts, and he is the host of Paradigm Matrix radio show on KCOR Radio in Las Vegas, Nevada, where they talk about all kinds of subjects from UFOs to
All kinds of
aliens
paranormal stuff.
and ghosts,
Conspiratorial.
all that kind of
Supernatural.
stuff. Cryptoids.
Mm-hmm.
And he is here tonight. He is joining us, and his name is Willy Miranda. And welcome to the show, Willie.
Welcome,
It's a
Willie.
pleasure to be here.
You know,
Glad to have you.
I was thinking, Willie, you live in Leominster, Mass, and it's KCR Radio in Las Vegas. That's a long commute, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing.
Good thing you only got to do that once a week.
Yeah, it's amazing
Yeah,
the technology.
long walk.
Yes. It's amazing, thank God for the internet. For Skype also.
Yep, absolutely.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Well, what
You
were you going to say?
I was just going to say, you said 4 years you've been on the air now.
Yes,
Are you
yes,
sure it
yeah.
isn't 5?
No, I think it's 4.
Yeah?
I think it's close to 4. Yes.
It's a great
It'll
run.
be anniversary on March 2nd. I think it'll be a full 4 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
Congratulations
wonderful.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like the setup.
Oh, thank you very much. I had you on the show a few times.
Oh, they don't have it up now, but yeah, maybe
No,
we'll get
we've
to
we-
see it.
I've had you on the show a couple of times.
That was fun.
Especially with the EVPs. That was an excellent show. And of course, on the radio show also with Susan
Susan.
McNeil Spuler.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yes.
was she on the show?
Oh yeah, well on the radio show.
That's
She
right, yeah.
was, she was
Willie-
on ours.
Willie,
Oh, okay,
Susan,
yes.
yeah.
That was
That's
quite a while
right.
ago on
Portsmouth,
our show,
yeah.
yes.
And I think the last time I was with Willie was that last time that you interviewed me on the radio show.
I think you're
Probably,
right.
yeah, probably the last time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the last time we talked was when we were just on your show.
Yes.
About-
But face to
about
face.
3 weeks ago. Oh,
Yeah,
face to face.
face. We were. Yeah,
It's
it's
in
been
the
a long
studio.
time.
Yeah.
It's been a long
Yeah,
time.
it is. Long time
Yeah,
ago.
it's been a long time. We went out to eat.
And I didn't even have gray hair then.
No, that's right.
It hasn't been that long.
But I almost didn't recognize him because he, he started doing marathons again.
Yeah.
He lost all that weight.
Went
Looks
through a
fantastic.
transformation. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, coming from Puerto Rico, I'm wondering if you've seen a couple of things, if you're familiar with a couple of things. Oh, there it is. Isn't that
Oh yeah, that's
wonderful?
right. Look at that. Look at
That's
that
your
mugshot.
logo for the show.
I look like a Men in Black.
You do look like Men in Black. Are you?
That was Tina's idea. My producer and the CEO of KCOR. Wonderful network and
Yeah.
a good group of hosts there,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
And you do make a good man in black.
You do.
Yeah, I think so.
And the producer of the show, she's got so many creative ideas.
Oh yeah, she's definitely creative. Definitely, without a doubt. So you bring the subject of Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
and of course I had an experience when I was, about 6 years old, before my mother migrated to the United States back in '73.
Okay.
So yeah, I had this experience that I never really decided to talk about until I was.
A little bit older.
Oh my God! I think I was in my late 40s when I started
Really?
talking about it. I grew up in a Pentecostal household, so it was very strict.
Different mindset.
Oh yes. And I've always said, growing up in the '70s in Puerto Rico was like picture like being here in the '50s. It was
Yeah.
It was had an innocence to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, almost like time stood still.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
The cars were still the 50s.
Yeah,
and
kids really walked to school. There was no buses, and I mean, we walked to school. There wasn't an issue, and during recess or lunch hour, we get to go home. And, if you look close by.
Yeah.
So I would go to, we'll alternate with with a schoolmate of mine, and we went up to eat lunch at his house. And as we're walking down, there is a clinic on the sidewalk. If you look down, there was like a ravine, very small ravine, but there was a clinic there, and they had one of those metal, I don't know if you remember those metal tin roofs.
Yeah.
Like a Quonset hut or something?
Like the galvanized steel ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know that they...
Like corrugated steel.
Yeah, yes,
like a
exactly.
Quonset hut,
Exactly.
yeah.
You know, so when it rains, you could hear it.
Yeah.
You know, it intensifies. And it's got a calming, soothing thing to it,
It
I
is
think.
soothing.
And as I'm walking down with him, I look down and I see, as I describe it, the only way I could describe it, maybe it's like my mindset as a child, you know, that 6-year-old is thinking this is what you saw. And what I could describe it was like a big fly.
A big fly?
Yes, that's what I could describe it as. It was like, it
I
had
remember
wings.
part of this story.
Yeah, it had wings. It had big eyes.
Like how big?
Like praying mantis eyes it had. But it was like about the size of a rugby football. That's what I could describe it. So,
Okay.
And it was, oddly enough, eating some mangoes that had dropped from one of the trees,
So it
you know,
didn't,
overhanging trees.
it wasn't still. It wasn't
No,
like
it
it
was
looked like a
there.
toy. It was
Yeah,
moving.
and it was moving and it was eating. I could see that it was eating on those mangoes, and I'm looking at it. It's staring at me, and
Staring at you. It
Yes.
was hungry.
you know, and I'm saying, I wasn't scared. Is the thing. I wasn't scared. I didn't.
Just kind of
I
mystified.
I just found it odd.
Yeah.
And what is this? And I looked forward, and my friend is just, and I said, you wait up for me. And I just walked down, and I never mentioned it to nobody again. I mean,
And he didn't see it, your
He
companion.
didn't see it, no, but I didn't mention it. No way I was going to mention that.
So looking back on it, any ideas?
Well, actually, I went to Puerto Rico 2 years ago with my son and his girlfriend. And I ended up going back to a town called Jayuya, where I was living with my grandparents at the time. And the clinic is not there anymore. So even going up there, it kind of felt strange. I didn't want to go up the hill.
Yeah.
I didn't. I said, you know what? I had to say to myself, that's the spot that I saw it. At times, it was so long ago.
Yeah.
Okay, and sometimes you say, what did I did see it? Was it a dream? Was it, And I went up and I started asking questions. As people were going by, I would say, excuse me, was there a clinic there? And oh yeah, there was a clinic there. And then I would ask him, was there a school here? Because I went to, he goes, there was a small school here. There was. And I just wanted to like
Verify that
verify
you
that,
saw the things that were there.
Yes. The memory was so long ago, but it was, to me, it was like yesterday. Okay. So I met up with a guest that I have regularly on the show, and he's a former journalist, investigative journalist.
Oh.
And he's the one that probably reported the first chupacabra sightings in Puerto Rico.
I was going to ask you about that.
Okay, and his name is Jorge Martin Miranda. Okay, so Jorge Martin, and he's written several books, and specifically in the area of El Yunque, the rainforest in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
And I met there. We met at my mother-in-law's house. He drove up, and he was with his wife. And I never knew this, but his wife is an experiencer.
Oh.
So we started talking at my mother-in-law's house, and he says to me, he says to his wife, Willie has an interesting story. Remember I told you he had an experience in Jayuya? And he told me there was a UFO flap around that time also. He sent me the articles and everything. And I had given him a full description of what happened and what I saw. And his wife says, you know what? That was around the same time. He goes, there were chupacabra reports back then.
And
But
what
they
year
weren't-
was that?
They're 1972. I like to say 73.
73.
Yeah, but the term wasn't
Wasn't
wasn't coined yet. And it was, and the term was coined in Puerto Rico, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was a different creature. Not like they're saying here that it's a coyote with mange, okay, or something like that.
Yeah.
But it really looked like a fly to you?
Well, but the interesting thing is that I don't know if you've seen the reports on the chupacabra in Puerto Rico and what it looks like. It looks like, it has some wings. It's got these red eyes,
Yeah.
So she's saying, I think because there were reports of little kids seeing these things, but it was just little kids.
Yeah.
It wasn't adults. And the reason that they're saying it was little kids is because of that age of innocence, and
Yeah. And how do you take them seriously?
the mind is not corrupted, you know what I mean, and so forth, but anyway, she says, I think what you saw was that, and I really think that's what you saw.
So chupacabra.
She thinks, you know what I mean?
Before it got changed over here.
Yes. Well,
What
before
color was it, Willie? What color was it? Was it green?
no, it wasn't green. It actually looked like a fly. I still think, but that could be my mind interpreting
it.
as a fly.
Also, too, some of these things are shapeshifters, and they can make you see something that you're familiar with. Maybe either not to frighten you or to be able to control
That's exactly what I think it was. It was to make me. That's why I felt. I didn't feel any fear. Now if it was green and red eyes and glowing red eyes or whatever, I think I would have been like, my reaction would have been a little different. But to this day, I never felt anything different. I never felt like it. I never felt any fear. And as a matter of fact, you're familiar with Ray Hernandez, right?
Ray, oh yes, Ray Hernandez.
Yes, I've had him on the show, and I brought him over to the New England, the Greater New England UFO Conference. I heard an interview, and I said, I really got to talk to this guy because and I explained to him about my experience, and that's when I started basically coming out and talking a little bit more about my experience. And I asked him, I said, should I get regressed? And he goes, no, don't do it. You saw what you saw, And as a matter of fact, when I met with Ray Fowler, he told me the same thing because I asked Ray.
Don't do it.
Yeah, Ray just said, don't do it.
You're just opening up a can of worms? Is that their
feeling?
Well,
I think Ray told me the same thing. They both told me the same thing. If you didn't feel anything, no fear or anything, maybe sometimes the brain the mind tries to protect you in a way.
Yeah.
And I think people that go get regressed sometimes, depending who does it, okay, you could open up a can of worms. You know what I mean? I know a few people personally who have experiences who are not having they're having a tough time dealing with their experiences.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's a borderline, mental illness because it's really stressing them out. It's almost like a post-traumatic stress disorder.
I was just going to say something like PTSD.
And a lot of people don't take it serious, but if you have an experience, a post-traumatic stress disorder, it could be from. You could suffer that from
really
shock.
Shock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. A lot of people relate it to war or combat, but that's
not
it.
the only source.
It could be from a lot of things.
It could be from a lot of things, So I knew one particular person who I would like to interview, and he's had he tells me some of his experiences, and it's like jaw-dropping. Okay, but I feel for the person because at the same time he's suffering. He's suffering. Yeah, he is, suffering. He's these experiences from childhood to adulthood. He's been dealing with this.
Would this be from Puerto Rico, or would it be from
the U.S.?
Yes,
in Puerto Rico. Yes.
Well, just so everybody knows, Arecibo is on the north of the end of the
northwest. Yeah.
Northwest of Puerto Rico. So I was wondering, do you know if there's some kind of underwater base in the area of Arecibo?
No, there's no underwater base, but towards the Rosie Roads, the base that was out in Roosevelt Roads, out in the island of Vieques.
Okay.
The U.S. Navy. Yeah, it's a separate island. Puerto Rico has two other islands out in the eastern part of the island. One of them is Vieques. The other one's Culebra. Vieques was there's a former naval base in Vieques that they shut down many years ago because they used to it was a bombing facility. They just went out there and practiced, and they littered the place with I mean, they're still cleaning it. I mean, it's still part of the super
War II.
fund, that cleanup. That's still going on. But I've heard some stories of where people have seen submarines going like right under
And disappearing.
and disappearing. Yeah.
Yep, there's supposed to be tunnels under there for them, like locked air
Yes.
passages.
Yes.
Well, then Cabo Rojo is in the same area, isn't
Cabo
it, as
Rojo?
Arecibo?
Not trying to remember if
Because
it
they've
is.
seen a lot of UFOs over Cabo Rio.
Yeah, Cabo Rojos. Yeah.
Rojo, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was curious if it was in the same area.
Yeah, there's been some sightings there. A lot of sightings around the islands. A lot of triangles,
yeah.
shaped craft. I mean, if you ever get a chance to speak, maybe have the show over Skype one of these days with Jorge, is very fascinating. Let me tell you, fascinating. Yeah,
Is this the guy with the last name Miranda?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is he related to you?
No,
No?
no.
Oh, okay.
But he's also, it's a best friend of mine who I worked in the field and in the field that I work in. My real job. He was telling me about he lives right now in St. Louis, and he was telling me somebody he had met through a just through a musician club. He's a musician, and they're part-time musicians. And they were discussing, the guy was a former, he was in the armed forces, in the Army, and he also worked in prison for many years, and he ended up retiring. And he says one time he was in El Yunque at the rainforest with his family, and they're walking up towards the summit of the rainforest. And as they're walking up, he notices on the trail, a black gate,
Really?
okay, like a crated gate,
Graded gate?
and it was arched. You notice it was arched. So he went up to see what it was,
Yeah.
okay, and as he's approaching it, these paramilitary guys jump out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, he says. Armed. They came right out of the forest. I mean, fully armed with automatic weapons. And basically told them, what are you doing here? And you got no business here, turn around and leave.
But wasn't it a public trail?
It's a public park.
That he's on.
Okay, it's a public park. So he says to them, hey, listen, I was in the military myself, and I'm just, visiting with my family. And the guy says to him, appreciate your service, but
Get out of here.
turn around and leave. And that's what he did. To
I
his
wouldn't
family,
argue with him.
What did he think it was?
They had no identification. They were all in black military gear, nothing. Now, here's an interesting one. When I went to Puerto Rico, with my son, his girlfriend, her father used to be a colonel in a military school in Puerto Rico. And she says, "Oh, you got to talk to my dad. He could tell you some pretty interesting stories. If you could get him to talk, because he was very reserved." Mm-hmm. And we ended up meeting up in Maine, okay, at Old Orchard.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it was Algonquin or
Algonquin.
Algonquin,
Yeah.
right? So we went up there, and we're sitting down, and we're just having a beer and started talking.
Started loosening up.
Yeah, I started loosening up a little bit. And he says, I started asking him, hey, listen, have you had any, I know that he was very, very regimented, you could tell, he's,
Yeah.
and I said, I heard that you had some experiences, have you, he goes, I've seen some things, but if you want to hear something interesting, he says, we started talking about his job at the island, at this military school, this military academy. So he says, hey, listen, I got a good story for you. He goes, the commandant of the academy was taking decided to take the graduating class, to a field trip at the El Yunque
Really?
rainforest, right? And they were going to camp out, and he had gotten permission, he had gotten all the paperwork. And
There are a lot of strange things that happen in that rainforest, though, right?
yeah, listen to this one. This is a real good one. So he goes up. They take the group. He says that day he had a prior commitment. He couldn't go. So he says his commandant went, took the kids. They got there early. They set up the tent and everything else.
And what's the age range of the kids? Are they young men in military, or are they high school kids?
I think they were like, I believe they were maybe 8th graders.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Kind of
And
like
then-
our ROTC type thing. They're
Yeah,
being trained. Okay.
Yeah. And so they get it all set up. And here comes the evening. It's getting dark. Sun goes down. These paramilitary guys show up. They show up at the campsite.
That wasn't a show and tell, right?
No.
No.
So they show up, and they tell them, "Hey, listen, you guys need to pack up and leave." So the commandant's like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "This is a restricted area. You need to get up and leave."
But he had permission, but was it not for that particular section of the forest?
Yes, well, he was told that so he set up there, during the day. So he's telling him, "Hey, listen, this was planned almost over a year. And, now you're telling me this, no identification, nothing on the uniforms. They're armed, okay, with automatic weapons." And that's what they told him. He goes, "We realize that you got permission to be here, but it's not exactly here. So you need to pick up your gear, everything, and leave
wonder-
this area."
What were they near? What was it they
Well,
wanted
they're
to
saying that
hide?
they got some things going on with HARP.
Oh.
Okay. The facility up in Alaska. Okay.
Which is a weather controlling.
Yes. So there's some things
Operation.
going on up there. And some theories that there is some type of facility there that's really doing some experimental things with controlling weather.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you look at the situation, with Jorge had brought up, he says, "Look at this Hurricane Maria." He goes, "Let me tell you, we never seen a hurricane go through Puerto Rico. We haven't seen a hurricane go through Puerto Rico of this magnitude in over 100 years."
And what class of hurricane was it? 4?
Oh yeah, it was a 5, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, Maria was devastating. The winds, it cut straight through the island. And one of the weather stations had clocked winds over 235 miles an hour. That's where it stopped.
What year was that, Willie? Was it
That
recent?
was like 4 years ago, I think.
Oh,
Okay,
all
it
right,
devastated the island. It just the rainforest was almost completely didn't have a leaf on any of the trees. The trees were blown. It went right through the island. But he says that was all. He goes, usually historically, if you look at those weather patterns, those hurricanes come around and they just skip Puerto Rico and go right through the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Cuba, and go to Florida or the Panhandle, or they go through North Carolina, but they never go straight to the island.
So they changed the trajectory of the storm?
Yeah, that's what he was thinking, with everything else that was going on in the island, because there was a point where the island owed, was under probably $70 billion in debt, so, he's thinking, they had to collect that debt somehow. So what they did was, basically run that hurricane through there, and the island had to ask for help. And guess who was basically?
Who
It
helped
wasn't.
them?
It wasn't necessarily the countries here, but the bankers. It's the bankers that were going in there and
They can
really-
make money on it.
yep. So one way or another, they were going to get their money.
So getting
That's what
back
he was saying.
the time when the paratroopers came and
Yep.
made the kids move, did they leave the
Oh yeah,
forest?
they left.
They didn't stay and
They
do it
they
overnight?
went somewhere else. They just set up camp somewhere else. It was inconvenient for them and everything else. But the commandant, he was talking to my son's my son's girlfriend's father, and he was, this is very strange.
Yeah.
I've never seen that the times that I've been up there, never had an encounter like that. You know, so it goes to show you that the story is not just once. It was, you know, the experience
times,
happened to somebody else. You know,
Yeah.
First with a family, then with a group of kids.
That isn't the only place that it happened. I lived in Sedona for 9.5 years, and there's a place called Secret Canyon, which is one particular nest of ravines and mountains and mesas and whatnot. And it's all public land, and people go hiking there. But I have heard nightmare stories of people dropping down on lines, paratroopers, like you're mentioning, dressed in black, fully armed, and telling them they have to get out of the canyon, and if they wouldn't leave, they were escorted out.
Yeah.
Or they were threatened with their life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Without a doubt, you gotta.
It's only periodically.
Yeah, you got men who come in, all dressed in black gear, and they're holding automatic weapons.
Yeah.
You're not gonna question too much.
No, you don't
that's-
fight that too much. No, not when you're on a
that's-
camping trip.
I know that's been, they said the same thing down in Connecticut, the triangle down there.
Oh, yeah? They've encountered that there?
They've encountered that their military telling them, you will turn around now.
I hadn't heard that. I thought that was just all open land, and but then
No,
again, it
it's
doesn't seem to matter.
One
Public land.
section down there, remember the pictures of, it was a farm or something, or a barn,
Yes.
I guess near that area.
Is that where Paulino?
Yeah,
Yeah, was-
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and
I thought that was in Pennsylvania, though.
No,
Wasn't that with
that
the
was the
Philly?
Connecticut one.
Yeah, Pennsylvania's a
They
different-
might have run into
yeah.
something in Pennsylvania too, but
Yeah,
this was
Pennsylvania
Connecticut,
one is pretty hush-hush. He hasn't said exactly
Yeah,
where it
it
is, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
And it's also private
Private property, yeah.
Yeah, private
So you
property.
don't want everybody and their brother
Yeah.
running out there.
Yeah.
But the theory is they wind up building some kind of compound under the ground, and sometimes it's laboratories. And quite
It's in plain
frankly,
sight. And almost in plain sight, but you're always going
Yes.
to keep something like
Yes.
that.
It's hidden in plain sight.
It's hidden in plain sight, exactly.
but it makes me wonder if this chupacabra thing is perhaps like experiments gone bad. It's almost
Oh, you
like they're
never know.
creatures, extraterrestrial creatures of some kind that have been genetically modified in some way.
Mm-hmm.
There's that buzz out there.
Oh, that does happen. Look at Lyme, Connecticut. Look at that facility the Army has there, and they've,
Yeah.
done so many, Lyme disease. Where do you think that came from?
Yeah.
It's, that didn't exist before, and all of a sudden, it's, but, it's like, a lot of these things are hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
And, I haven't encountered it. I went to, many years ago that I went to the rainforest. But I asked George, hey, let's go up there. He goes, I'll accompany you to the entrance, but he goes, I won't go any further. They don't want me there. He
They
says,
don't want me
don't
there?
Well, he'll get followed. And yeah, he's a very interesting guy, and I like to share his
Pick his
contact
brain.
information, with you guys,
Yeah.
and you could, somehow get in touch with him, and yeah, very interesting, very, very interesting. As a matter of fact, I'm going to invite him back on my show.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Pick his brain.
Yeah, well,
So we
hopefully
can
you
all
guys
hear about
listening. You're listening.
Oh, yeah. Man, that'd be fascinating. What about seeing aerial craft that you couldn't identify?
It's interesting enough, Lynn, that when we spoke the last time, I told you I'd never seen a UFO.
Yeah.
Okay. About 3 years ago, I was up in Maine. I was up in the old lighthouse there, the one that's photographed the most.
Yeah.
Noble-
York.
Noble Light.
Yeah,
Noble
in
Light.
York. York is where we met at that time with my son's girlfriend's father. That's where the York Beach, that area. It's one of our favorite areas.
It was beautiful.
And we was up there for a weekend. We happened to get a place near the lighthouse there, and I go out to get some ice cream. Down in the
There's a little
boardwalk.
ice cream shop
Yeah,
there.
there's
Yeah.
a couple of them there. I went to get some ice cream, and it was very windy, that type of night. Time of night, it's high tide, and the water's pretty rough, and it was very misty kind of. You can't really see out there, It's couldn't see a star. It was just like a fog. So I'm always looking up,
Yeah, me too.
I'm always looking up. And I'm looking up and I see this light. It's like an orange light.
Orange?
Orange, yeah. I'm going, wow, that's interesting. Because it's just standing there. And it's not moving. And it's windy. And I know it's not a drone. Because there's no drone that's going to stay up in those type of winds.
Yeah.
Looking. And I'm going, wow. I told my wife, are you seeing this? She goes, yeah. I'm looking around. And as I'm looking around, everybody's going about their business, eating their ice cream, you know. They just go, man, this is weird. I don't have my phone on me. It's getting charged back at the room. I'm like, oh, man. So I look up. A second light comes on. Then a third light comes on. It's still there.
Really?
Yeah. And I think a green light turned on. It almost looks circular. Almost, you know. And I'm looking, I'm going, wow, that is strange.
And you say it was just hovering, it wasn't moving? Or?
Wasn't moving at all.
And what year, Willie,
Oh, this is
approximately?
it's about three years ago.
Okay.
3 years ago. I just stood there until it just faded away it just faded away. But it was
Any sound?
nothing.
Silent?
Nothing. That's interesting. So I go in the next day. When I get home, I get in touch with Fred Richards. You know Fred.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, I'm going to tell him exactly what I saw.
And what did he say?
He goes, it definitely wasn't a plane. I go, I couldn't see it. I mean, I just saw the light, but it was just odd that it was just there, not moving.
Yeah.
Not. He goes, no, it's definitely an unidentified flying object.
I would
you know
think
what I mean?
so.
He goes, Fred, I don't want to tell you about lights because that's all you get reports on is lights.
Truly, I know.
You know, and I just kept staring at it because I want to see any of the detail. But that's all I could see. It was another light would come on, another light, and it
Yeah.
just looked.
Almost
was bizarre.
disc-like, discoid.
Yeah, but it was bizarre. I mean, I can't say it was disc. I can't say.
Yeah.
You know, it was just bizarre that it was just hovering there, and I couldn't really tell the shape, the color, nothing. All I could see was. It almost, you could see like the lights would tell you, oh man, it's got a kind of silhouette to it. But I don't know if it was cigar shaped, or I couldn't tell you if it was.
Yeah. Well, we're just about at the bottom of the hour.
All right.
Quickly, any idea the size of it? I mean,
No.
was it? No.
No.
Well, when we get back, I'd like to tell you real briefly what I saw recently. It was just a year ago, and it was very strange. It morphed. So we'll talk about
Interesting, because I got one for you too.
that. Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
All right. So we will be back in just a couple of minutes with our guest tonight, Willy Miranda.
Don't go anywhere.
No, absolutely, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Yeah, well, welcome back to the show.
Welcome back, Willie.
We are talking tonight with Willy Miranda. He's the host of the Paradigm Matrix Radio, KCOR Radio in Las Vegas, Nevada. And
Talks all things paranormal.
I think he got on the plane this afternoon, flew all the way up here just to be with us on the show tonight.
Well, you know, he's a mover and a groover.
He is. He gets around.
Yes. Even with the jet lag.
You're doing good.
Jet lag, yeah. So, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Again, it's
So,
a pleasure to be here with both of you.
we're glad to have
You
you.
know, I'm very happy to be here.
Absolutely.
So we were talking about UFOs, and what annoys me about UFO stories is people are always talking about lights in the sky. Yeah, so what? Tell me more. Or hopefully they see ETs or something. But this was really decidedly strange. On a Wednesday in March 2021, I was driving back from Portsmouth? Hampton. It was from Hampton, I guess.
One or the other.
I was on Route 1 approaching Northampton, and a place called Drake's Hill, where it's very near the lines of the airplanes coming in to land at peace. So I'm always watching the sky. So I see this gargantuan structure over to the right-hand side, pieces on the left. It didn't seem to have any shape, but it had red, white, and green lights on. I thought, oh, that's a plane. But then it seemed to approach and then just stop. And I thought, oh, well, it's probably coming toward me so that it has the appearance of stopping. But I really think it was hovering. It went to the other side of the road as if it were heading to Pease, but then it did this. It turned up, and as it did that, it took off toward Pease, but on the underside of it, I could see what looked like a Greek cross, outlined in lights, equidistant arms on the cross, and I thought, that is the strangest looking airplane I've ever seen. And of course, it was huge. So it leveled off, and then it went across the road again. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, it should be descending, not ascending. It was ascending again. And I couldn't watch it anymore because it was being hidden by the trees, and I'm still heading down Route 1. So I get to the point, I live in Dover, I have to cross the Dover Point Bridge. When I get to the bridge, I felt like it had been waiting for me. It was on the left-hand side of the bridge. There are a couple of houses right down there by the water. And then there's just a line of trees. It was hovering by the line of trees. Only this time, it had changed. What I saw when I saw the cross underneath it, little tiny white lights had outlined it. Now, it was like a great big birthday cake. It was about the size of 5 houses, and it had what looked like lattice work, like layers of lights going this way, and then sort of crisscrossing lights going like this. It looked like someone had made a huge birthday cake with lights on it. But, you know, it's got to go off the road if I kept staring at it. So I tried to turn around. There's a turnaround there, like going off to Route 3 or coming back to Portsmouth, because I was coming from Portsmouth. It was gone. But it was just hovering there, big as life, looking like a birthday cake.
And that's the only explanation that you have. That like, you know, you can't explain it. And
No,
you can
it
explain
was
That's why-
gargantuan.
yeah, and it's really tough to, you know, we were talking during the break of the lights that you see and things like that. And it's like, at times, you know, you gotta, you know, you wonder, you know, but there is some experimental stuff that the government's working on,
Yeah.
you know, and one of
I was
them,
just
very
going to
well
mention
be
that.
that.
yeah, one of them happens to be, I know for a fact that has been refueling,
Midair?
mid-air refueling,
Yeah.
you know, where they could, you know, whether it's, you know, huge dirigibles,
Yep.
you know, and so forth, you know. So I mean, it's not out of the question, you know what I mean, that it could be, you know,
And
know-
of course, in this case, I mean, being near Pease, it's not an Air Force base anymore, but the Air Force is still in there.
you know, they never,
True,
You know.
it's
true.
still their
yeah.
property, it's still their,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Air Force National Guard is
Yep.
still in there.
Well,
so.
there is an addendum to this story, and I don't know if it's in one of these books by Alfred Liebermont Weber, but they talk about UFOs. And statistically speaking, according to the records of MUFON, there is a predominance of sightings on a Wednesday. Out of the 7 days of the week, Wednesday has the most sightings, and the day of the month that's most popular is the 24th. And it was March 24th, a Wednesday.
okay.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I wonder if, remember when Bob Lazar took John Lear out to the desert in Area 51, and he told him, "Hey, this is the time that they start taking out the you know these crafts, and they start making, you know, their flights."
1951?
No, Area 51. Remember when Bob
Oh,
Lazar?
Area 51, yeah.
Yeah, when Bob Lazar was taking John Lear, who just
Bob Lazar,
passed
yes.
away. But,
Bob Lazar just died?
No, John Lear.
Oh, John
Yeah,
Lear did.
yeah,
Yes, I
yeah,
heard that.
yeah.
Yeah. He was big on, he was a doctor, right?
Oh no, that's Roger Lear.
Oh,
Right? Was it
okay.
Roger Lear, the podiatrist.
L-E-I-R.
Yeah,
This was L-E-E-R.
yeah. This
John
is a
Lear,
Lear
okay.
jet. Yeah. So, but anyway, he was a conspiracy theorist also. But you know, I wonder what date he took him up to see those sightings. You know, but the day they got busted. Remember they got detained.
Oh, Bob Lazar, you
Yeah,
mean?
Bob Lazar. Yeah, that's when he was, you know,
I don't
during
remember
the
when that
interviews and
was.
his story,
Well, he
he
was.
said he got fired, you know, because he had taken somebody up there, and he was talking too much, basically.
He
So I
was.
wonder if it wasn't a Thursday.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Because he was talking around Las Vegas. He was opening up his mouth to as many people as he could, it seemed.
Yes.
I think I would have been a bit more quiet about that information.
Well, I think you had that reporter who broke the story. Oh, geez, trying to remember his name. It doesn't come to mind right now. But anyway, I had a sighting also when I was in Kentucky with my brother.
Okay. So what happened?
But this one was really strange.
Okay.
Like yours. You can't explain what it was.
Yeah, when it morphs like that.
Yeah, I couldn't explain this one either. And my brother was right next to me. So we had just finished having I never had bourbon. Okay, never had bourbon. So we're in Kentucky.
Did that have anything to do with it?
And my son's, of course, my son's mother's, my son's girlfriend's mother happens to live in Kentucky.
Oh.
Okay, not too far from Louisville. and her boyfriend, they're both from Massachusetts, formerly from Massachusetts, and they moved down there. So we just finished having dinner, and her boyfriend says, Jay, which I've had on my show because he's a internet security expert. He's got a company. As a matter of fact, he was he was in charge of internet security for Churchill Downs, where they run the Kentucky Derby. So of course, you had to keep you had to keep that place secure with all the online betting, and everything else that goes on, So I've had him on the show twice. Fascinating, and that aspect of the world in that technology. But anyway,
where were you now when you had this sighting? Were you at the racetrack?
No. We were at the hotel, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we were at the DoubleTree, and he says, "Oh, you never had bourbon?" No. So we had a shot of bourbon, this obviously unique taste,
Yeah.
But anyway, we're talking and we're having a good time, and said, okay, so let's wrap it up, So they're leaving, and we went outside to walk them out, and I look up, and to me, what I think was like the moon. It was this bright, when you see the moonlight on a clear night was the full moon, and it is just almost like that moon, that super moon.
Yes.
It
looks
it's like
intense.
intense.
You can almost touch the earth.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it, I'm going, wow, that's strange. This is not the time of year to see this, the time of day or the month to see this moon. And my brother's staring up, and it starts doing this.
Oh, really? Like imploding?
Like like the camera shutter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how the iris just goes,
Yeah.
just almost like in that 007, the introduction, when you see the gun,
And it just disappeared?
It just disappeared. And as a matter of fact, we're saying, look up, look up. And by the time they went to look up, and they went to look up, there was nothing there. It just literally went like that, and it just went.
Do you think it might have been a portal, or do you think a
Well,
craft?
I brought it up with, who was it? I'm trying to think. I was talking to Fred also about it. Fred
What was
Richards.
his feeling?
I said, what?
There's just so many
This
things
one wasn't.
out there.
I don't know. I can't explain if it was a light. I can't explain if it was the moon. To me, it looked like the moon,
Yeah.
and it just shrunk my brother. And then he goes, "Did you see that?" And I'm going, "Yes." He goes,
Hard to explain.
"What was that?"
Damn.
And he's had many sightings. My brother's had many sightings. With my mother, they saw a UFO in Leominster, in broad daylight,
Yeah, there seems
right
to
on
be
top
a
of City
lot
Hall.
going on in Leominster too.
Yeah, that was back in the 90s, early 90s. But this is the second time I've seen something.
That's amazing. Well,
That one just really.
making up for lost time, aren't you?
And I said, you know what? Well, I said I can. That one there has got me. I also asked George, and he said you probably saw it looks like a gate.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yep.
That's just bizarre.
It was just that one really. Probably the other lights I could probably say to myself, that was military, it's that area, talking with, of course, Commander Cobra, who's doing my show tonight.
Yeah.
He's hosting my show tonight, and that's why I'm able to come here,
I'm glad to have you.
and
So
and
has
share some of
he,
these experiences. But
did you share that one with him?
Oh yeah. But he also talks. There's probably a corridor coming through Maine, and of course through like the Hudson River Valley in New York.
Yeah.
There is a corridor, or they've seen triangles. But there is a Aurora jet that was a reconnaissance plane that's happens to fly, that through that corridor.
There's
So,
also cloaking too. Something could have cloaked itself.
could be. I mean, there's just different technologies
Yeah,
out
a number
there,
of things.
that are not really talked about. So people you have to be, there are sightings, I think, that are very, of course, unexplained.
Yeah.
And there's some that could be. I mean,
There was something like that happened at the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, and this light opened up and a being stepped out of it, and then it closed up again. I mean, that whole place is under surveillance, but there were a lot of strange, unexplained events, and that sounds like it, but this apparently wasn't very close to the ground, was it?
oh no.
It was way up in the sky.
Oh yeah. I mean, I tell you, to me it was, I was watching the moon. But what I
Otherworldly.
questioned was, what's the moon doing at this time of?
Yeah.
It's we didn't see it last night.
Yeah, the pieces don't fit.
It's and then it just started
Closing up.
closing up as a triangle. It went into like this, and it just closed up.
That is unusual.
That's weird.
Yeah, that was like almost like the experience that you had. That it's fascinating to me. The one that you explained with the mirror.
Oh, the
Oh,
portal with
right.
the mirror, yeah.
That
At the hotel. Yeah.
that right there is.
And there were 5 witnesses to that.
When you mentioned that to me, that still kind of
Yeah,
like
makes you creepy.
brings the hairs in the back of my neck.
Well, can you
Stand up.
quickly tell the audience what happened to you?
Okay, it was at the Shanley Hotel in Neppanook, New York, and they have this mirror out there in one of the rooms that they do mirror gazing, I guess you call it, or
Yeah, scrying.
and scrying, yeah. And this was one of the first times that I went out there, and I didn't even know about it. So
Also, one of your first paranormal experiences, too, wasn't it?
first actual experience, yeah.
Okay.
So several people said, let's go up to Marguerite's room and do the mirror thing. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay, let's do that.
Wasn't that the room where the girl had been murdered or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's part of the story.
Okay.
So what you do is you just stare into the mirror, and So a couple of other people tried it first, and they had a little bit of strange things happening. And somebody said to me, "Willie, do you want to give it a try?" I said, yeah, okay, sure, why not? So I'm standing there staring into the mirror, and there's I think 4 people are sitting on the bed next to me, just watching. And at the time, my hair was down to here. And so first, my hair started getting shorter, and my facial features
In the mirror?
started changing. And I ended up, the face in the mirror turned into that of a young girl. And I'm just staring straight ahead, not moving at all. And the face in the mirror turned and looked at the people on the bed,
And started.
and the mouth started to move. And so at that point, I mean, people just kind of freaked out, and the session ended right there.
Did anybody scream? Did anybody scream?
I don't think so, no.
I think I would have walked out and left.
Yeah, that's pretty.
But
So anyways, the rumor is that the local butcher's son had murdered this young girl and cut her into pieces and buried her somewhere right in the area. We went downstairs. They used to have this thick book of newspaper articles on all the history. And Christine is the one that knew, the history the best. So she opened up the book. She opened it up to the section on the murder of the young girl, and everybody looked at the picture and said, "That's the girl that we just saw in the mirror." Strange.
Yeah, four other people saw it, so 5 witnesses. That was pretty strange.
That is, and we do. I think we live in it's not just these areas. We live in the paranormal world. At the end of the day, I
Yeah,
think.
there's worlds beyond our scope
Yeah,
of
and we
vision.
can only see with our eyesight and with our capability. We're so.
Just part of it.
Well, I think we're so, how would I say, restricted, let's say. Okay, and we're trying to understand what this is. But, I mean, there are some animals that have the ability to see beyond that. But I believe we live in a world where there is a veil, and
Yeah.
and things maybe cross from that veil to here.
So since
Agreed.
we got on that subject,
Yeah.
ghosts, have you ever, where do you ever
No,
had
I
any?
think, I mean, I've had some, my mom, I mean, I'm very open-minded, and so was my mom and my dad, who used to be an evangelist, and he was really open-minded. He would tell, he would tell me, hey, listen, there's UFO sightings in the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
I mean, the burning bush, how are you going to explain that one? That was paranormal. Okay. I mean, the talking bush, right? I mean, it's I mean, listen, I mean, the Jews in the desert for 40 years were following a star. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the numbers, and everything else that are associated in the Bible, the 40 days, the 7 days, that had this a lot of significance. But anyway, going beyond that, my father was very open-minded. He said, hey, listen, there's not a problem with questioning some of these things, because they're, it's a mystery,
Yep.
and we don't really know, I mean, we do have faith, you know what I mean? We do have some convictions, you know what I mean? There is a creator, a God, okay? But there is a lot of mysteries of
A lot of stuff we
basically-
don't know that's in that world as well.
And
Yes.
one of those mysteries, I got to ask, since you're from Leominster,
I was going to ask him that.
Monsterland.
Have you seen a Bigfoot?
No.
No? Have you walked through the state forest there in
No,
Leominster?
not at all. As
A lot
matter
of
fact,
creepy things there too.
Yeah, my son went for a hike at night with some friends, and I told him, be careful, and
What do you mean?
yeah, exactly.
Then you have to
But
explain
he got
yourself.
there. He says he got there that night, and he says they left. I said, what happened? He goes, oh, I felt like we're being watched.
No
Really?
kidding.
Yeah. I said, hey, listen, at the time, I was explaining to him, you're familiar with the books from Dave Pilates, Missing
Oh,
411.
police, yes,
you
yes.
know, and let me tell you, I mean, there's a lot of disappearances that, and it's not only in the forest, there's some cities that have had some disappearances, and there's an age group.
Yep.
There is an age group. It's really not
Age group and different characteristics, type of
Exactly.
aesthetics, I mean,
Yeah.
ethnic.
Yeah, and they're usually found near water. They're usually found
Yes.
face down with no shoes.
A lot of no shoes.
Yeah, a lot of no
those
shoes,
disappearances.
yeah.
They lose their
You know,
footwear.
And if you look at that map that he has with all those
The clusters.
the clusters, it's strange enough that you don't see any in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
Like in that area of North Dakota and
Yeah, but we're talking about David Pilates.
Pilates. Yes, exactly.
Who
Yeah.
investigates, he's got the 411 book series, of Missing 411,
Exactly.
of unexplained disappearances of people in national parks and just about
Yes.
anywhere. But
And
there
just about
are
anywhere.
a lot of clusters of people in national parks that disappear.
Yes. And that's, again, I mean, that's another unexplained, but if you start reading the
Truly.
books, which are very, you start wondering, why,
Well,
you
they're,
start
of-
asking a lot of questions,
they're often seen in conjunction with UFO sightings.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the question as to perhaps could they be UFOs, ETs, because there's also the strange element of them disappearing that you will find like tracks in the wintertime or tracks in the mud, and the trail will end. They'll just disappear and it won't continue.
Yes.
That's very strange.
No, it is. I brought the same question up to, who was it, Cliff
Barackman.
Barackman. I had him on the show.
Cliff Barackman.
Finding Bigfoot.
Okay, yep.
I had him on the show, and I asked him, "Hey, listen, what are your thoughts about the
What do you think?
Those are the hunters, following a trail, of tracks, and they stop and they don't go anywhere else. Well, they turn around and they walk backwards. They don't want to.
Yeah, right.
I
I think
don't buy that one.
interdimensional is more like it.
Yeah, I kind of gotta. Hey, listen, I mean, it's not. Who is it that mentions the same thing? He was sponsoring my show, Squashaschusetts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what's his name?
Yeah.
Who moved to Florida? That didn't
It's
move.
John. Oh God, I have a hard time with the last name. But anyway, he had mentioned also there was talking to him. He had mentioned. I asked him. I said, "Hey, listen, all these Bigfoot reports that you're getting, because do you usually get some UFO ones?" He goes, "Oh yeah, yeah,
They go
Yeah.
together a lot of times, don't they?
yeah."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. We got about 3 minutes left.
Oh, good. Okay. What experience frightened you the most that you can think of? Nothing truly?
Actually, one that my sister had
Okay.
with a doppelganger.
With a doppelganger? Really? Oh, yeah, let's hear about that. And a doppelganger is a person that looks just like the original.
Yeah, she
But you
had.
get to see yourself. And it isn't always a good thing, but sometimes it's just a distance thing.
Yeah, it wasn't her. It was her son.
Okay, her son. But
Yeah,
anyway.
her son. She had basically. She had sent her son up to go to bed. It's time to stop playing and go to bed. She sent him to bed early because he was kind of punished. So she sent
Okay.
him up. She said she's watching TV and she sees her son standing in a corner. And she goes, "I know he's upstairs sleeping." So she said, "Sam, what are you doing in that corner?" And he turned around and she said, he looked different. He just had his facial features were strange. It looked like her son. He was just
Almost like her son was
had an
possessed.
evil, yeah, like
Yeah.
a possessed. So she goes up to him, she goes, "You're supposed to be upstairs sleeping." And he's just looking at her with that face. So she grabs him by the arm, brings him upstairs to his bedroom. She looks in the bedroom, she looks in the bed, her son's in the bed. She looks at him, and he's just staring at her with that face, and she starts freaking out and starts rebuking him and, starts, calling, in the name of the Jews, Jesus Christ, and everything else. And she said it disappeared.
It disappeared. Did it disappear while she was holding him?
But she had him. She said she had him.
Wow.
That right there, I said,
Yeah, that
that
would
was
get me too.
that was that's one of the few stories, besides yours and some of the EVPs that really, that was with my flesh and blood sister who had this experience. And
That is
she didn't know what she saw until I mentioned it to her.
Yeah.
And she said, "This is what you saw." She goes, "Really?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, it's people have had encounters with these."
We are out of time. Quickly, Paradigm Matrix.
It's on every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m.
2 hours.
And, yep,
Okay.
2 hours, and it's 6 Pacific and 8 Eastern.
Okay, and how do they get a hold of this? KCOR? Is it
Yeah, it's
KCOR.com?
KCOR. So you could, if anybody with an Alexa device could say KCOR, and it'll take them right there. And you could go onto the website. You could stream it directly from there. And there are some phone numbers there. I don't remember them right now, but offhand.
call
But you could
in?
call in. You could listen to the show on your phone for free.
Oh,
with
great. Yeah.
no data charges or anything like that. And I mean, a great, it's a great network with a bunch of great hosts, and I'm one of them, who shares the airwaves with them.
Okay.
Great. Well, thanks to Mr. Cobra for sitting in for you tonight.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
be sure
that's
and
right.
thank him for us.
That's right. I'll be listening in.
Commander
He's about,
Cobra.
he should be coming on the air pretty soon, so I'll be listening in.
Good. Well,
Okay.
thank you for giving up your night for us.
Oh, not a problem. My
Good.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you very much, Willie, for
Well,
joining
thank
us.
you. Thank you.
And I guess that takes care of another show.
Another great episode.
We will talk to you again next month.
Thank you, Willie.
Thank you.
Okay,
night.
good night.
Night.